All right. Special thank you to Riverside for sponsoring this this podcast that we got going on today, and just overall this podcast in general. It's a great website, great utilities to use on here. All right. So if y'all don't know, my name is Jayden Big Texas Johnson, the host of the Between the Lines podcast. That's right. We're back. Episode 2, Season 1. We're back. Okay. Today we're going to talk about Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. We're just going to go through it today. We're going to see my predictions, what I think is going to happen. Obviously, if y'all don't remember from the last week, I am indeed a San Francisco 49ers fan, which is why I have their Salute to Service hoodie on today. Yeah, I got their Salute to Service hoodie on today. And hey, I feel like it's going to be a great week this week. San Francisco coming off a big win against Philadelphia last week. Just very impressive overall for San Francisco. On the defensive side, on the offensive side, Debo got going pretty good on the Eagles secondary. Brock Purdy played amazing, as he's been doing week in and week out. I mean, you just couldn't ask for much better for Brock and the team in general. You know, George has gotten back into, playing as more of a pass catcher now, and that's always refreshing to see. So, I'm really glad to see George getting involved. Christian McCaffrey, obviously, everybody knows about Christian McCaffrey. I mean, just a great addition overall. Just a great pickup by San Francisco. I mean, he's just been playing great. Playing great, always has. We were all worried about the injuries. And it's refreshing to see. Refreshing to see, definitely. So last week against the Eagles, Brock Purdy threw for 314, 4 touchdowns, another 148 rating on the day. I mean, in terms of the passing stats, that's all great. We love Brock Purdy. We love the path that he's taken and the numbers he's putting up. Big question is, though, is he going to be able to keep this going for more games? If he does, if he keeps up these numbers, I have no issue in seeing him going and taking us deep into the playoffs, if not to the Super Bowl and winning it. So 49ers got the Seahawks this week. Seahawks are a great football team. They have been the past few years. 6-6 record doesn't look too great on paper, but definitely still not a team that the 9-3 49ers should underestimate. Last game, we had tremendous pressure last game, and I think the D-line is just going to continue to get better across the year. Nick Bosa, Chase Young obviously is a great addition to this team, but Nick Bosa had 2 sacks last game against the Seahawks, and it honestly is just a dominant force. Former or reigning DPOY, probably not going to win it this year. Had a slow start to the year, honestly, but it's okay. We still like the production from Chase, and having Young out there, both of them sitting over 260 pounds, and it's just hard to block both of them. It's going to be hard because you can't block both of those guys just one-on-one, because it's just not going to work. Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas, they're just going to get bullied. And I'm sorry to say it to the Seahawks fans listening, if y'all are, but it's going to be a bad day for Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas if they don't get some help. Definitely if I was Seattle, bringing in those running backs to get some chip blocks on Bosa or Young, as well as a tight end, have him in blocking every now and again, or just giving a chip off the edge, whatever it may be. So, yeah, if you're looking at stats wise, Young obviously had dealt with injuries in Washington, so he's still sitting at about 15 and a half career sacks. Still a solid number by all means, especially with how young this dude is, and just the amount of potential that Chase Young has. Bosa, we already know, 51 sacks in his career. He's pretty much he's up there with 49ers all-time greats already. This is his fourth year now. I mean, it's just he's already on track with the greats. The greats, Bryant Young, obviously, already passed Alden Smith. Obviously, Alden Smith had a lot of off-the-field issues as well as on-the-field issues, but we won't get into that. Bosa sitting at 8 sacks on the season. So let's get into talking about this game a little bit more, and how I think the 49ers can really come out and win this game in a dominant fashion like they did the last time. So, like I mentioned earlier, Christian McCaffrey is a focal point in this offense. Last game against the Seahawks, 114 yards on 19 attempts, 2 touchdowns. I mean, if we're not stopping Christian McCaffrey, we're not stopping the run. Or we're not stopping the passing. We're not stopping the run. And, we're just going to play good football. If we're not, gonna stop Christian McCaffrey. If I'm the Seahawks, Seahawks ranking 20th this season in rushing yards right now. The Seahawks defense, they've allowed 1,400 yards. 1,400 yards. Yeah. I mean, you don't stop the run, then you just open up more opportunities for Purdy, for Kittle, for Debo, and for Ayuk to get some opportunities on the outside there. Yeah, I mean, like I said last episode, the 49ers just have an amazing team. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch have built an amazing team full of star-studded talent. I mean, everybody knows Javon Hargraves, Gravedigger, right? He came in last year, or came in this year, has been a huge part of this D line already. Veteran presence down there for not only Javon Kinlaw, but also Eric Armstead and the younger guys that are there, obviously. Cleveland Farrell, we like Cleveland. He was great. He still is great. Obviously dealt with some injuries. He's still a good veteran presence to have. Been in the league a little while. Same with Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory has been a solid producer for pretty much any team that he's played for. And I think that Steve Wilks and this defensive unit is really going to, can complement that style of play from Randy Gregory if we didn't already have Chase Young and Nick Bosa starting at those respective positions. And it's just going to be a great game. I feel like Brock Purdy's going to, probably have another good day. He had a little bit of trouble last game against the Seahawks, only throwing for, I believe, 209 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Struggled a little bit, but that's okay. You can't expect that young of a guy to be perfect on the season. It's quite unlikely. Especially You expect good things out of him when he comes out of the offense that he did out of college, out of Iowa State. Iowa State was a very pass-heavy offense. Brock Purdy broke the passing record. I'm almost certain at Iowa State. Yeah, you expect a lot, but you also don't expect a lot since he was in the 7th round. Not to mention Mr. Irrelevant, right? I think he has a better game than he did the last Seahawks game, but we'll see what happens. Also talked about the last episode, Brock Purdy's MVP season. I feel like this is the year. NFL on Fox came out and has Brock Purdy as the favorite right now at a plus 300 odds for him to win MVP. Too close, guys. Obviously, Dak and Jalen Hurts are both very close in comparison to odds. But I think Brock has him beat based on quality of wins and the domination at which they have been winning. I think Brock Purdy has them both beat. I mean, you look at Dak Prescott, and really haven't played a very good team. Really haven't beat a team over 500 besides the Seahawks. But they're just right at 500. They haven't tipped that scale to go above it yet. The Commanders, Panthers. I mean, you can put all those names down of who Dak has beaten, but they have beaten in a great fashion, in a very impressive fashion, putting up very good numbers. But what has Dak done against the top 500 teams or the above 500 teams, if I will? It's just Dak Prescott just can't perform against the big dogs. He can't do it. Now that's no, shade thrown to Dak or anything like that. That's just it's just what we've seen from him. What we've seen from him year in and year out. He threw for 374 against the Eagles. Right? That's a very, very good stat line. 374, 3 touchdowns. Very good stat line. Still didn't win. Eagles outscored him on that game. But you look at the 49ers game against Dallas. 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. I don't think you can consider that for an MVP odd. Brock Purdy has rated top of categories in QBR, and I think completion percentage belongs to Brock Purdy as well. Could be wrong, but QBR is a huge standpoint in terms of productivity for a quarterback. And Brock Purdy is at the very top of that list with really nobody close right now. Brock Purdy has shown very good maturity when it comes to bouncing back from adversity with those 3 game losses. He's definitely came a long way. So right now, QBR wise, it's going Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott, 75.6 to 75.4, respectively, to the 2. But I think if you look at it from a standpoint of the quality of opponent that the 49ers are playing against Dallas's quality of opponent, then those 2 really aren't comparable. San Francisco not only beats teams over 500, but they demolish teams over 500. They walk in, they put their feet up on your couch, and that's it. That's game over. They're confident. They're always going to be confident. And that's how the 49ers play. Brock Purdy, I believe in my heart, deserves the MVP this season. I've said it last episode, and I'll say it again today on this episode. Brock Purdy deserves MVP. Now, we'll see what happens at the end of the year. Brock Purdy definitely having a very good season this year. And, you love to see it. You really love to see it. So, obviously, Brock Purdy has not eclipsed the passing yardage yet. He's still away by 400 yards, a little under 400 yards right now, with C.J. Stroud topping that list. But if you look at it, C.J. Stroud has obviously been playing very good football, with 20 touchdowns, 5 picks, very good football on the year. I think the only reason that CJ is not in the MVP talk as of right now is strictly because of win-loss. I believe that win-loss record it plays a huge part in voting, and you just can't put a guy that's not having a very good season. You just can't put him over the guys that are having good seasons, that are projected. Obviously projected Super Bowl playoff winners. And you just can't put a guy like that over him. But Brock Purdy, though, on the season, 233 completions on 332 attempts, completing 70% of his passes, 70.2. Best completion percentage, one of them, or second, if you want to count Jake Browning, who's only played in those 4 games. But 23 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Great ratio there from Brock, and 3 behind Dak in touchdowns right now. But I believe that Brock Purdy could eclipse Dak. So you're looking at the interceptions. Brock is obviously going to rate one of the lowest in true starting quarterbacks, besides Kyler Murray, who has only played in 4 games. So Brock Purdy, tied at 65 right now for turnovers, for interceptions thrown. In that same category, Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, Dak, Derek Carr. A lot of guys, right? But it's a good ratio. It's a good ratio for Brock to have right now. I think we have a real superstar in our hands, potential Hall of Famer, if he continues to play at the level he is. So when you look at rushing on the year, obviously we know who is leading that pack, and it's not a close race. It's not a close race at all. 210 attempts rushing for Christian McCaffrey, 1,032 yards. Great season. 12 touchdowns on the year from him. And honestly, it's just a nice thing to see. It's nice to have that presence in the backfield. Nice to have that presence in the backfield to be able to trust that guy, and trust that he's not going to get hurt by Kyle Shanahan's play calling. It's nice to see. You look at receiving this year. Brandon Ayuk leading the team right now. 927 yards on the year, 72 targets, 50 receptions. 6 touchdowns on the year from Ayuk. Really playing very well, playing very good football right now. Playing very good football. Number 2 right now, George Kittle, 735 and 5 touchdowns. Yards after contact is a big thing for this team as well. And respectively, Brandon Ayuk is sitting at 243 yards. George Kittle sitting at 354. Deebo Samuel with 590 yards and 3 touchdowns is sitting at 369 yards after contact. And then Christian McCaffrey, obviously, another threat out of the backfield when it comes to passing, is sitting at 429 yards on 51 receptions for 364 yards after contact. Honestly, more guys. Juwan Jennings, not an impressive stat line on the year, but still a very solid receiver when it comes to helping Christian and helping the other guys, being just a blocker, a big body just in the way. Ray McLeod, has 113 yards, 0 touchdowns, but that's okay. Ray is strictly pretty much focused on special teams right now. Juszczyk, can't forget about Juszczyk. 2 touchdowns through the air this year and 0 touchdowns on the ground. Brock Purdy has, going back to that, rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jordan Mason, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Deebo Samuel, 4 touchdowns on the ground. Sam Darnold really didn't play too much, mainly just coming in for victory formation and everything along those lines. So this year, moving on to the defense for stats. 8 sack leaders this year. Excuse me, let me get to that. 8 for Nick Bosa, 6 for Javon Hargraves, 5 for Eric Armstead, 3 for Drake Jackson, 2 for Fred Warner, 2 for Javon Kinlaw, 1.5 for Chase Young. Honestly, there's not much to say about this team. Sacks don't say it all, obviously. Stats don't say it all. Because if you look at the games and you watch those games and you see the amount of times that Nick Bosa is double covered, getting chipped, getting held. In my opinion, if it wasn't called, it wasn't a hold. But we'll save that for a later date. If you watch the game, Nick Bosa is constantly wreaking havoc, and I think once again he has a very high pressures rating right now, and it's just yeah. You see that guy, and you see him getting double teamed, getting chipped, getting what I think held. It's been impressive to see his grit through it all, and being able to show up when we need him, I should say. Obviously, I'm not just going to read stats. I'll talk about it a little bit with you guys. Fred Warner leading the team in interceptions this year with 3, tied with Tyler Noah Hufanga, actually. But Tyler Noah, as we know, suffered an ACL injury a couple weeks ago and has lost a season, which is very, very sad. Tyler Noah is a very young star on this defense, and especially in the back end. At safety, getting help with Tashaun Gibson. Tashaun Gibson's was a great presence for Tyler Noah last season, and I think it just helped even more this season before Tyler Noah went down. Good picks, good turnover ratio this year, 15 interceptions, and let's say 7 forced fumbles. 7 forced fumbles, and 6 of those were recovered. 49ers really are a great team overall. Some questions last year about guys on the back end. If Charvarius Ward was going to be able to hold his own, if Diamo Lenore was going to be able to hold his own. Isaiah Oliver obviously was another guy that we were worried about, and Ambry Thomas, obviously he got set back for Diamo Lenore and Charvarius Ward to start, and Isaiah Oliver in that slot position. Um, yeah, there was a lot of hesitation this year on the back end of this defense when in terms of coverage and in terms of just coverage that we could get from these guys to not only, keep teams from passing, but also create help for the front seven to get pressure. Looking at a few of these guys on the roster, and I think that San Francisco is just going to have a good team for quite a few years if we can keep people, around for a little bit. You look at it, and Nick Bosa obviously got his huge contract last season, which was great for him. We're happy for him. But you look at it, you don't think he needs to produce the same amount, but he needs to produce close to it by the end of the year. By the end of the year, I'm looking at Nick Bosa, wanting him to have 8 to 9 more sacks realistically, to kind of prove or to show, that he is still capable of playing at that DPOY level. It'd be pretty cool to see him go back to back, but I doubt it. Not saying anything bad about Nick, but better guys this year on the old ballot. This week, Thursday Night Football, we're looking at the Patriots and the Steelers. Don't really see that being the game that I'm probably going to watch. Just two not really good teams, Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi. I'm just not liking that Patriots offense. And the Steelers, they have just been underwhelming. I think it was that whole Matt Canada, bull going on. But I'm not liking either of those two teams' offenses. Defense, a little bit different. Patriots have a very good defense, in my opinion. Very nice defense from the Patriots. I've been impressed with them this year on the defensive side. I've been impressed. That is not for me to determine. New England. We're going to talk about those stats a little bit. New England defensively, you're looking at sack leader for New England. You're looking at a 3-way tie with Jawan Bentley, Matthew Judon, and Christian Barmore. Not a very big turnover team. Only looking at, let's say, 6 turnovers on the year, pick-wise. Only looking at 6. Forced fumbles, I think sitting at 7, recovering 5. Defensively, I like the Patriots in that matchup. Patriots have ranked pretty good this year. Overall, they've ranked pretty good in terms of defense. Yeah, but I mean, points per game by New England is 12.3 and 148 total points, 16 total touchdowns. Just not a great team offensively, and not really a team that I feel like watching. I don't feel like it's going to be a great game to just watch. But you look at it, I mean, Pittsburgh's not much better with 16 total points per game. Total points 192, 18 total touchdowns. It's just not going to be a very high scoring affair. I love high scoring football games. Makes the game very interesting to watch. Unless the other defense is balling out, then I'm okay with it. But if either team is not balling out, either defense is not balling out, and the offense is just not scoring, and it's just a low scoring affair with a bunch of punting and a bunch of field goals, then I have a problem. But besides the point. Buccaneers Falcons. I'm taking the Falcons on that one just because my boy Bijan Robinson is there. I love Bijan. Love the Falcons. I think Bijan has a has a good chance Buccaneers don't have a very solid run defense. So we're going to go with the Falcons on that one. I guess if I had to pick one, I'm probably going to go with the Steelers. Still like their team. I still like Kenny Pickett. I still like George Pickens. I think the Steelers come out with that one as well. Rams Ravens. I kind of want to pick the Rams with the streak they've been on these last couple weeks with Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford has been very impressive this year, surprisingly. But Matt Stafford, I am liking right now. Last couple weeks, 27, 68 yards for Matt Stafford, 16 touchdowns, 9 picks. Average year. I like that guy Puka Nacua. Can't say much about him that's not already been said. Already over 1,000 yards this year, 4 touchdowns as a rookie. Puka Nacua is a solid guy. And Cooper Kupp, the addition of Cooper Kupp coming back has definitely helped this team out quite a bit. So I think after that, it's hard to choose the Rams. It's hard to choose the Rams, especially looking at the rankings for, Baltimore's defense, offense, and everything like that. They're just a very highly ranked team. They look very, very good on paper. 7th ranked in offense, 2nd in defense, 20th in passing, but 1st in rushing. It's hard. It's hard to pick the Rams over the Ravens, so I am going to go with the Ravens. Lions, Bears. Lions, Bears have struggled this year sitting at 4-8. Bears have struggled. Justin Fields has struggled. Not much you can say, really. Have a good rushing attack, the Bears do. But the Lions are playing very good football right now. Ranked 2nd in offense, ranked 4th in passing, and ranked 4th in rushing. But the Bears, struggled this year. Justin Fields not having a great year. 12 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He's the leading rusher on this team. I think Chicago really needs to look into getting some offensive line for one to help Justin Fields, because Justin Fields has been sacked 29 times this year. That is a ridiculous number. 29 times he's been sacked. No wonder he has 400 rushing yards. Just because every time he gets out of the pocket, he has to get out of the pocket. But Justin Fields has also only played in 8 games. I am guessing it is due to injury, but I am not certain of what happened with that because I do not keep up with the Bears. And they lost their last game against the Lions. Not in big fashion, 31-26, that game was. But I think if you don't have, an offensive line, to block Aiden Hutchinson, then you're just asking for trouble. So I'm gonna go with the Lions on that one, just because they've already lost to the Lions this year, and I think that they're just a better team than the Bears. Bengals Colts. Bengals Colts going to be another good game. Jake Browning has been playing phenomenal football in these very few games that he's played. 649 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 4 games played on 78 attempts. Jake Browning, very impressive young man. Obviously, you have Joe Mixon still. That is going to continue to run the ball effectively on 180 carries at 689 yards on 6 touchdowns. Yeah, he's going to continue to produce. Joe Mixon has had it's kind of a slow year for him this year. Slow year, but I'm probably going to pick the Bengals to win that game. Looking at Jaguars Browns, I like Trevor Lawrence. I always have. Evan Ingram, not great this year, but still solid. Christian Kirk, solid. I'm going to go with the Jaguars on that one. Panthers Saints. Not much to say about the Panthers. Bryce Young has struggled. Definitely going to go with the Saints on that game. Panthers definitely struggled this year. Bryce Young, 2,055 yards on 9 touchdowns and 9 picks. Chuba Hubbard, 557 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just a struggling team. Very old, not very old receiving core, but their best receiver this year is Adam Thielen. We all know Adam Thielen was a great wide receiver for Minnesota. But I don't know, something about this team. They're just not, obviously Bryce Young throwing 9 interceptions on the year to 9 touchdowns is not ideal. And their defense is not really that impressive either. Looking at it, only 6 turnovers on the year for the defense, 8 counting fumbles. Just a struggling year for the Panthers. I don't see him tanking for Caleb Williams. I think you stick with Bryce Young for a little while longer. But I'm going to go with the Saints on that. Texans and Jets. Obviously, we all know the Jets have been struggling in the quarterback room. It's been a rough one for them this year in the quarterback room. So I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud to continue dominating. C.J. Stroud's been playing amazing football. Leading the league in yards per yards passing. So I'm going to go with the Texans on that one. Minnesota and the Raiders. The Raiders have been up and down in my eyes. I think after starting Aiden O'Connell, they have turned it around. Jimmy Garoppolo, honestly, is just not a franchise-type quarterback. He's just not great, not good with the deep ball. You can't have Devontae Adams and then not have a guy that can throw the deep ball. And Jimmy Garoppolo is not that guy. So I'm probably Vikings have also been struggling too, especially losing Justin Jefferson. They've been struggling. So I don't know if Justin Jefferson is going to play. I don't think it's going to matter. I'm going to go with the Raiders. Seahawks, 49ers. Everybody knows who I'm going to go for on this one. And it's the 49ers. I believe the 49ers are the best team in the NFL overall, even with 3 losses on record. Brock Purdy playing amazing football. The Seahawks have been, not as stellar as last year. It's kind of sad to watch. 19th ranked offense, 23rd ranked defense, 14th ranked passing, 27th ranked rushing. San Francisco ranked 3rd offensively, 5th defensively, 8th passing, and 5th in rushing. The 49ers just overall, I believe, is a better team, just the best team in the NFL. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Best team in the NFL. I believe the 49ers pulled this one out. Bills, Chiefs. I always want to see the demise of the Chiefs, so I'm going to go with the Bills on this one. Broncos, Chargers. Broncos have turned around a little bit. I'm liking the Broncos right now. They're sitting at 500 on the year. Justin Herbert, definitely struggling this year. Just not as productive as he was last year. Still a great year by Justin Herbert. Don't get me wrong, 3,038 yards, 20 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Still a great year. But Austin Eckler not producing like he was last year, 446 yards for, 4 touchdowns. Only played 9 games, but, you wish to see a little bit more from Mr. Eckler. Receiving, that has been a big problem this year for the Chargers. Quentin Johnston is just not playing good. Too many dropped balls. Just not enough rounding those in. He's been targeted 44 times, has caught it 26 times. Quentin Johnston, I believe, could still be a great wide receiver. Just needs to reel in those drops. Just needs to reel those in. Keenan Allen, though, another great year from Keenan Allen. 1175 yards and 7 touchdowns. Great year. Great year from Keenan Allen. Defensively, great team defensively. 17 turnovers on the year. So probably going to go with the Broncos. If I really wanted to make a statement, I'll probably go with the Broncos here. Broncos, I feel like, can turn it around. I've turned it around this year a little bit. Still don't like Russell Wilson, but I think we're going Broncos here on this one. Eagles, Cowboys. Anything, I want to see the Eagles lose, but I also want to see the Cowboys lose, so I hate these weeks. But since I want the Eagles to lose because I want the first round bye, I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. I don't feel like they get the better of them twice in a season. The 49ers definitely showed the Eagles' weaknesses, and I think that most teams are going to be able to exploit that weakness now. And it's a linebacking core. Even with the addition of Shaquille Leonard, I don't feel like the linebacking core is still there. It's not a complete linebacking core. It's not a good secondary. Secondary is just weak in my eyes for the Eagles. So I am definitely going to go with the Cowboys. The Eagles got bullied last game. So the Eagles are definitely, I believe, losing this game. Titans, Dolphins, going to go with the Dolphins. Love Tyreek Hill, love Tua Tagovailoa. He's, a great player. I'm going to go with the Dolphins. Packers, Giants. Another two teams that have just been up and down this year, especially the Giants from last year have been up and down. But I am going to go with the Packers. I like the Jordan Love era going on there right now. So, and two teams on bye are the Cardinals and Commanders. So that is a little bit longer than my first podcast episode of Between the Lines. A little bit longer episode. But I feel like we covered, a good amount. I expanded on myself a little bit more than I did episode ago. I feel like I expanded my reasoning for Brock Purdy winning the MVP this year. I think that's how I'm going to do it on Wednesdays. In terms of doing the episodes on Wednesdays, is probably going to go through the schedule, still talk about the 49ers. But once college football runs back around on the 1st, obviously we know, I believe it's this weekend. It's the Army-Navy game. It is. Army-Navy game this weekend. Obviously, I am in the military. I am in the Navy. So I will be rooting Navy, even though they have been booty for the past couple of years. But that is going to be all from me today. Thank you all if you have watched this far or have listened this far, whichever one you're on, if you're on Spotify or if you are on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. And I can't wait to keep this going. I'm having a great time with this right now. So thank you all for watching. And I'll see you in the next episode, probably next Tuesday or Monday, depending on how tired I am after the Monday night games. So on that note, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for stopping by with me. And I'll see you next time on Between the Lines.